Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Legal and Finance Committee of Rapid City at 12:30 p.m. on October 14th. And first up is roll call and determination of a quorum.
Drew?
Here.
Lehman? Here. Armstrong? Here. Jones?
Here.
Solomon?
Here.
No quorum.
Thank you. Next up is adoption of the agenda.
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Jones, second by Lehman. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the adoption of the agenda is passed. Now it's time for general public comment, a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the council members present, and I have no slips for general public comment. Is anyone here for that? There is no one here for that. So general public comment is now closed. We're on to consent items 1 through 9. Public comment is opened. I have no one that has submitted a slip. See no one that wants to speak right now, so public comment is now closed. Now we'll go to consent items for the committee and anything that they would like to remove. Seeing no lights, I'm going to go to myself. I'm going to remove item number 4 and item number 6. Oh, excuse me. Jason Solomon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 7, please.
Okay. Laura, oh, okay. Okay. I guess we'll allow it. Okay, so I need approval of all the items except 4, 6, and 7. Moved by Armstrong, second by Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And the consent items are adopted with the exception of 4, 6, and 7. So we'll go to 4, authorize mayor and finance director to sign engagement letter with addendum with Cato Thorstensen LLP for the 2020 audit. I go to Tracy on this one. So Tracy, first of all, I'm really happy to see that you're working with Cato Thorstensen, a local company. There was a time when we thought that might not happen. So what is the addendum that we're talking about on this?
The addendum includes the timeline as to all the different steps in the process, deadlines to meet, certain obligations related to it, not just the end by September 30th. It'll be throughout.
Was that part of the agreement in working with Cato Thorstensen and making sure that they got this contract, that they would be doing those steps?
Yes, we did that also with the 2019 fiscal year audit as well.
Okay, well, that's good enough for me. I need a motion. Moved by Armstrong, second by Lehman. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And number 4 is passed. Number 6, acknowledge the August 2020 sales tax report. That was also pulled by myself, so I will direct this question to Tracy. So Tracy, give us a little rundown on how we're doing on our sales tax.
Through the month of August, we are 0.99% up. So we feel that that's, fairly good for us.
For the year, as
Yes.
okay.
Yep.
That's kind of a surprise to all of us.
Yes. Us as well.
Any insight into why that may be happening?
I don't know that we necessarily have any. Obviously, we have had some tourism and visitors here. Obviously, that adds to our sales tax revenue.
And everybody else must be buying too.
Buying things as well.
And we're getting money from Amazon, places like that, through the sales tax now, correct?
Yes, we should. We should be. We don't get any notifications specific to being Amazon.
Oh, okay.
That is proprietary information and not able to be released by the Department of Revenue.
We see the finals and we don't know where it came from.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, looking for a motion? Or maybe there's other questions?
Move to acknowledge. Second.
Move to acknowledge by Solomon, second by Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
Of those opposed? Number 6 is acknowledged. Number 7, authorize mayor and finance director to sign contract and statement for work for professional services between Binary Tree and the City of Rapid City, and authorize staff to purchase required software licenses from Binary Tree and Software House International. We go to Laura. I think Jason pulled this one.
Okay, well, first of all, I make a motion to authorize, if I can get a second and retain the floor.
Authorized by Solomon, second by Armstrong.
And first of all, I'm always happy when I see us upgrading our IT infrastructure because obviously the needs change as time goes on. And I thought I would give opportunity for our head of IT, Jim Gilbert, if I may, Madam Chair, if you could just explain for all of us and the public at large what this project consists of and prepares us for, in layman's terms, of course.
Nope, we're going to go deep technical. So basically, we are currently running an Exchange platform, which is our email server that is running out of life. So in order to maintain support from Microsoft, we are upgrading to a supported version. However, we are currently in an Active Directory environment, which is where our accounts are stored and all that stuff with the county. And because Active Directory and Exchange are so tied together, it makes it very difficult for us to upgrade either. We have to coordinate with so many moving parts, make sure the jail can have outage. And so we're using this as an opportunity to split not only our Exchange off, but our Active Directory infrastructure as well. So we will be using binary trees, software and support services to accelerate that as much as possible. It'll still be a very long process because we'll be moving department by department over. The exchange will happen very quickly because we can do that separately. But all the Active Directory stuff, we're probably thinking about a year to finish. So.
And pretty sure know the answer to this because you're a professional, but I sure assume as you transition, things are backed up, redundancies are created so that there's no loss of data?
So yes, so basically Active Directory is one of those things that you don't generally back that up directly because it replicates everything to all the other Active Directory machines in the environment. So there's more concern on our part about making sure everybody's permissions are carried over correctly, and that's where the binary tree software comes into play because that involves a lot of behind the scenes work. And so we want, if we move finance on a Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, we want when they come in Monday, their experience to be the same as before we moved them, and that's where the software comes in.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you looking at this and continuing to look ahead to make sure that we are equipped to handle whatever the future may holds, and I'm sure you'll have more things in the near future. It looks like you got a plan that you're working on. So thanks for taking the time to explain that to us.
Okay.
I yield.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. On to non-consent items, public comment on items 10 through 14. I once again have no slips, and so public comment is now closed. We'll go now to the council on this. Number 10 from the Finance Department, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6446 regarding supplemental appropriation 7 for 2020. Move to approve by Armstrong, second by Jones. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Number 11, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6448, and an ordinance to amend provisions concerning purchasing procedures and delegation of purchasing authority by amending sections in Chapter 3.04 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. Any comments? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Moved by Solomon, second by Lehman. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. On to City Attorney's Office. Item number 12, approve resolution number 2020-080, a resolution creating a trial program for conduct of official city business by combining the city's current public works and legal and finance committee meetings into a joint council working session. And I'm going to recognize Laura Armstrong. This was an item brought forth by leadership, and if you can only imagine the amount of meetings leadership attends, I can see some of the thought processes behind this. So please take this and explain to the folks what's going on, if you would, Councilwoman Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you can see, On the agenda, this memorandum has been attached, so I want to bring the public and our new council members up to speed. This memorandum was generated 2 summers ago, July of 2019. That past summer, I think that May and June and July, I met with all the directors, and we thought that we could possibly blend these separate public works and legal and finance committee meetings into one. So we were pulling staff for pre-agenda meetings, and then of course we had our agenda review meetings, and then of course we have our legal and finance and public works meetings. So we're always looking to do better, and there are other municipalities that blend these working sessions in together, and with a lot of help from Mr. Young, our community development director, we brought this forth to our last council working session, which was in October of 2019, and we collectively agreed that we would try this. Nothing good comes easy or quickly in city government, and so here we are. So I wanted to bring everybody up to speed. We are doing this hopefully to be more transparent and be more efficient. If we can save time, not that we're looking to rush anything, but if we can save time, time equates to money. And if we can save our taxpayers some money and time, I think that is a good thing. And if you read the memorandum, I think it's pretty concise of what we want to do, just basically streamline city business and bring everybody on board. Right now, our council members are divided in half. Half go to legal and finance, half go to public works. And this would kind of bring everybody collectively to the table, and we can streamline not only these working sessions, but then our council meetings as well. So I thank our council members for their consideration on this trial basis, and I also thank our city attorney's office for putting this together. And I know that a lot of our seasoned council members that have been doing this for 10 years, sometimes change is hard, but I am very confident that once we get through the transition phase, this might be a more streamlined process for our city. So thank you for your consideration with this. And I'll yield.
Next up is Pat Jones.
Thank you very much. When this was first being discussed, I had questions about public input from the public. Would they lose out on opportunity to bring things forward and ask questions? If 2 meetings combine into one, on the surface, it seems like that's one less opportunity. But as our discussion went on with the city attorney and those of us at the meeting, these are the highlights that came forward. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to share some of these points because they are very, very vital. If this meeting, 2 meetings would blend into one, there would be no formal action would be taken at these working sessions. They'd be used by the council, staff, and the public to become better informed on issues. The council can ask questions. We can have much more interaction with our quality staff, and then the council will decide what items are ready to go to the full council for final action. We would have a chance to see if we like the new process or keep the other one. Here's something very important. Our directors and staff would have an opportunity to present more things to us on a more significant level, and we can dive into things and find out more. We have a very talented staff at the City of Rapid City. We have directors who are some of the best in the business in their positions, and yet we get to interact with them very, very little. So that would bring this opportunity, or give this rather an opportunity to bloom and see how much we like it. But I love the fact that we would get to interact more with our staff and dialogue issues rather than just trying to figure out what's going on and not being able to interact with our staff. I see this as a plus and a great opportunity for us to try it, and if we don't like it, we go back to where we're at. No harm, no foul. But it's a great opportunity for more interaction, to learn more, and not take things to the full city council until they're ready. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Jason Solomon.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And I think I'm definitely on board with seeing how this works. I think having a trial period and working out the kinks is great. So, and certainly want to hear from our directors on matters. I think that's very important. Looking at the memo that was provided, there is one item that, if it's included, will be a deal breaker for me. And that item is number 6 in the memo. And it reads, work session to be less formal in format. A, no filming. B, public comment allowed only at the beginning of the meeting. And C, round table setting in a conference room where all directors are seated facing the council. I think I guess kind of my opinion, for the sake of transparency and openness, I would prefer it be filmed so that the public can see what we're discussing versus it just arriving on the night of our decision. 2, I think it should be in here for the sake of the technology and for the fact that the public can easily have a place to be, especially during this era of social distancing. But having that opportunity, but still allowing, just as everything else is included in here, allowing the directors to speak on items, allowing those the public who have items on here to speak. I think obviously we'll set guidelines appropriate to that, but and I think it should be filmed and streamed. I think that's been a very positive thing that we've done is we've always had cable access, and then we had a YouTube channel, and now it's streamed on social media. Allowing that to make sure that the media themselves, as well as the public, get to hear the kind of conversations that we have. Because a lot of things we could do could be way more efficient, like in business, but it is the nature of government to be as open, which kind of creates some inefficiencies. And so we're trying to find, hey, what's the balance here between being as efficient as possible and being a wise steward of taxpayer resources, including time, which I think this helps with, and B, but making sure that the openness and transparency of information and information flow is out there. So the concern of we have these kind of dialogues, like let's say we were talking about chickens today, we're not. Let's say we were. They get to hear kind of how we're thinking. We're not making any decisions on it. It's not perhaps legally required because we're not making a decision. But the public has a right to know. And we certainly, I don't think anybody up here has any intention of hiding anything. So I think it would be okay to have these open and honest discussions, even if they don't lead to official actions, because we won't take action until city council. So if we adjust that, I will be on board. If not, I will not unless we change that. But thought I'd bring that out there. Otherwise, I think there's a lot of good things in here. For several years, this has been talked about, and I do appreciate our council leadership and our directors bringing this forward and making sure that, hey, how can we work better together? There's a lot in here I really like. The us versus them, I don't like that. I've always found us to be of the same page of wanting this to be the best place possible, whether you work as a department head or as on the team within the city or up here as an elected official. So I definitely want us to work together, but my only deal breaker, we definitely need to keep this open and transparent. I yield.
Chair recognizes Lance Lehman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I make a motion to approve and remove item 6 from the resolution?
You can if you get a second.
Not in the resolution.
Yeah, it's a memo.
We can certainly make the adjustment to them.
In the memo.
Hold on a moment.
So I'd like to just make a motion to approve the item. As is.
We have a motion and a second, and we still have more discussion. I would like to just chime in here, too, before Laura wraps this up. When I first heard about this, I certainly was not in favor of it. I think of our legal and finance and also public works as a more deliberative body that can really take time to look at all of the issues and speak more freely, and it gives us more time. When I was first serving, I was really much more comfortable in a group of 5 with less people in the audience speaking at a legal and finance or a public works meeting than I was at council. So I think it's a good training ground, if you will, for newer members, and I like the idea of having time to deliberate here in the public. However, I don't want to be negative, and I can see where it can save a lot of time for people. So I'm not going to say I won't vote for it. I think I will give it a chance, but it's not my first, it wasn't my first priority to make things, to give the staff more time, and I like them being here. I like being able to talk to them in this format, but I haven't tried the other one. So I'm going to vote for it, but I will be looking at it very closely as we go forward. Chair recognizes Laura Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First and foremost, I like the fact that the resolution was written fairly loosely, so as we learn, we can improve and evolve. So I do, again, appreciate the leniency of everybody, at least just being receptive to trying. So thank you. Second, I do want to make a point of thanking Director Young for all the work that he put forth in bringing this. And maybe if I can see if Director Young would like to add anything.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
Thank you. I guess the only comment I have is I think there's a lot of different ways to do this, and those were certainly just recommendations that I had. But I think for me the most important thing, beyond the saving of time, which is very significant, I believe, as we go forward we'll see that. But the other thing is that it allows a better communication arena or forum between the directors and the council. Sometimes it feels as if we're just the little children, and sometimes we get asked to speak and otherwise don't speak unless spoken to. And I don't believe that that is a healthy way to have a city move forward with its various programs and decision-making. When you have experts on staff, they should be able to speak and present.
Chair recognizes Pat Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there a date when this is going to roll out, or is that still in the works? Anyone know? Mr. Young, do you know?
I think the details will be worked out on Monday when all of us are here, so we could have input. As again, Director Young had said, these are just recommendations, and as you can see on item 2 of the memorandum, it says either a Monday evening or a Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Speaking with our Vice President Lehman, I think we're leaning towards that Wednesday at either 12 or 12:30, but I think it's important that if we are all going to trial this, we should all have that discussion at a city council meeting so every voice is heard. Mr. Lehman, care to add anything?
No, I think that's accurate.
So I think that part of it's very important, because if we're going to utilize our staff, it would be best to have them during their working day while they're here, and we can get everybody together. You know, we have enough evening meetings where we interrupt people's lives. If this is to get more communication from staff, we should do it when the staff's here and can have access to all of them. Thank you. I'll yield.
I have a question from Councilwoman Drew. Well, go ahead, Councilwoman Drew. I have a question for Laura. I have a question for Laura Armstrong. Yes, ma'am. Why would this effort streamline our council meetings?
Thank you. I think we could have the pre-conversations to see what the pros are, what the opposition might be, and we can use several examples, but if something gets postponed for a month, we can at that point explain why it's getting postponed or have a better timing, and give us more fact-finding abilities to do more research. And plus, I think anytime you're communicating with one another, that streamlines things as well.
Do you believe that staff does not have enough time to really address issues at the council meetings?
Well, understand, I'm going back probably 15, 16 months when this initially started, and when I reached out to each director, you know, time is money, and you're picking people up. Say if somebody is presenting a presentation on solid waste, they have to go to that pre-agenda, the agenda, the actual council meeting. They're showing, say, that one presentation 3 separate times. So that's an example. And again, I think we're going to learn as we evolve what works, and we're going to learn what doesn't work. And that's the beauty of this being written loosely. So we will all have an input on that, and then hopefully we can nail it down. And then if it does not work for whatever reason, and that does happen, and I know that is an option, we can go back to the old ways. I like the idea of being on both legal and finance and public works. I've been doing double duty due to the vacancy.
Yes.
And, you know, it's hard to just pick one. And it's good to have that education and experience when we are on the dais for council meetings. I think I'm getting a lot of head nods, so I think we're in agreement.
Just
with
so
that.
everyone understands what Laura just said, she is filling in and doing double duty for the council seat that's not filled at this time, so she's going both to legal and finance and also public works. So she's been seeing both sides of that coin, and so understands fully how this could work together. So with no more comments in the queue and a motion to approve and a second, do I have a, oh gosh, does everybody approve this motion? All opposed? No? Okay, so a no from Jason Solomon. So for an approval with Jason Solomon as a no, and the motion carries. Sorry about that little glitch on my part. Okay, on to item 13, approve resolution 2020-081, a resolution authorizing the executive director and the Rushmore Plaza Civic Center to enter into contracts for the acquisition of furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the arena expansion project consistent with the amounts already budgeted from the City Visions Fund. And we have Pat Jones up.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm going to start kind of big picture on this and then get down to the meat of it. I have questions about our overall bid process, the way bids are opened at the city. I have no concerns that they're done right, that the rules are followed. I'm very confident in that. My only concern, or not even concern, but question is, why can't we see more of what goes on instead of having to go to the bid opening? Why can't it be a more public, open, transparent process? Many cities do it differently, and I think we need to take a look at how we do our bid openings so we can perhaps know more about who's bidding, the amounts that are bid, and that kind of thing, because it matters. We're talking about millions of dollars of city projects. And again, I'll underscore, I do not have any concern that the rules aren't being followed. I just believe it would be good for the public and us to know more about who's bidding and why the bids are accepted, et cetera. So that brings us to this, is that based on reading this and reading the ordinance, if this is approved, then the Civic Center would go out for bids on their items. Would those bids then be opened by a group or committee at the Civic Center, which makes it even further away from my desire to make the whole bid opening process more open? I had a great conversation with our Civic Center manager, Craig. And Craig, do you want to step up and say anything about this? You don't have to, but I'm going to give you an opportunity if you want to. Thank you. Because the information you and I spoke about earlier today was very helpful. Is that okay, Madam Chair?
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for the consideration of this resolution. Just to explain a little bit, our intention necessarily wasn't to specifically bring a resolution before you. We were just simply asking a question to our legal department about the process of approved monies for these items, but then to get them reapproved again. The concern for us was a time issue, which adds potentially a 2-week time issue on this, and there's a number of these things that would be coming in front of council, but also there's some already on some items that's already gone through council on consent. Some public confusion that this is above and beyond the approved budget for the Civic Center, which it's not. It is included within. The budget for the Civic Center at $130 million of the vision funds is mostly made up of our contract with Mortensen, our CMR, who handles most of those items. There are items, the FF&E listing is handled by us directly. So each one of those items to go before council puts a time issue, and it's already been some confusion in the public. We went to legal and said, is there anything we can do about this? This resolution ended up being the answer that they came up with.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. A couple of things that came up when you and I were speaking is it almost seems like without something like this, we have to reapprove what's already been approved. And that adds to the level of confusion perhaps for people who are wondering exactly what you said. Well, is this on top of the $130 million? Everything that you're spending, everything that you're purchasing, is within the confines of that $130 million. So it seems to me this is a request for more autonomy to be able to move the project forward. And that's kind of how I understand it. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, pretty accurate.
So I would move approval of the resolution, and I'll yield my time.
I'm sorry, you cannot do that after speaking. You can't make a motion after speaking on something. Someone else has to do the motion.
Oh.
So we'll look to
Well, I'll just say I like it then.
I get that. So we move to Jason Solomon.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And for clarity on the process, could I address our Assistant City Attorney, Wade Nyberg, who I see is here. And Wade, given the what Mr. Jones has shared, as well as Mr. Balzer, would you like to weigh in on how this process, and is it all above board? Is this very normal? I mean, can you address some of the concerns and why this is a good idea?
Sure, I can talk a little bit about it. Earlier on your agenda, there was an ordinance that you adjusted some of the numbers. You already delegate these type of purchases just on basically a smaller scale to department directors.
Right.
So we have a process generally where when we're buying something or doing a public improvement is the larger number. That's 100,000 now. Other equipment is 50,000. There's different numbers for different types of things. Some things are exempt from public bidding altogether, like IT infrastructure. So department directors have a certain authority to sign a contract for whatever dollar figure that would be. So this is basically using the same statute. It's listed in the resolution. And it's to give the Civic Center director further expanded authority, I guess, for this one project with the one part of it, the FF&E. And so it's basically just expanding that delegation for this one project in that one area.
Okay, and it's not a forever thing for every project or anything?
No,
like that?
it's only for the arena project. It's for FF&E, and it's within budget. So,
And there are proper checks and balances in place to make sure that things are done correctly?
Yeah, and it still requires, if something is required to be bid, it would still have to be bid in compliance with statutes. And generally, they would involve our office with that. We usually assist with those types of things. We review contracts before department directors sign them. So, yeah, it would generally be in. I mean, they still have to follow the laws. They still have to follow our city ordinances. So.
Okay, Madam Chair, may I direct a question to our Finance Department? Tracy Davis, Assistant Director. Tracy, do you have any concerns with changing this process in terms of your perspective?
My only concern is, and Craig and I have visited about this as well, making sure that we have it documented either in the minutes or some mechanism that shows what we are buying, who we're buying it from, and the dollar amount that will go along with that. Okay. So just like now, anytime we award a bid, we have who we're awarding it to, the dollar amount, what it's for. So just to make sure that we cover all of those things, our auditors do look at those types of things when they're going through our annual audit, so they would want to have some kind of way to verify all of that.
Okay. So, for me, we've already approved the amount. This is not additional funding. I understand sometimes the timeliness of purchasing, and when you have a civic center board that oversees a civic center, it comes through here, and then it goes through the staff, then it comes through here. That is that's quite a lengthy process to get bills paid. So I understand that. I just want to make sure that we're doing it the right way and make sure that it is, within, I guess, the parameters of how the finance department likes to work, and it doesn't cost us any additional money. My whole thing is to make sure, we have Craig's amazing, leads the Civic Center well. I don't doubt that. I just want to make sure that we have the appropriate checks and balances, because at the end of the day, this is taxpayer resources, and I don't want to give more leash than what is allowed, and to make sure that it's still watched. So I yield.
Chair recognizes Pat Jones.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution and maintain the floor.
Okay, yeah, motion by Jones, second by Lehman. Go ahead.
Did I do it right?
Yep.
Thank you. So just FFE is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. For anyone who might be wondering what FFE stands for, I was in the beginning, now we know. And again, there's no implication whatsoever that anyone's doing anything wrong anywhere, just questions in general along that. Alderman Drew and I were in Pier this summer, or last summer, and one of the things they were talking about in training for elected officials is the bid process and making sure it's done right. And so that's kind of been brought into our attention. So it's just important that we do that. And I will yield at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a question for Tracy, please. Is the council made aware of the bid openings and the projects that might be being looked at any particular session?
So if you're talking such as Public Works?
No,
or
I'm talking
Parks and
about,
Rec, or
I think I would like, I think what might help everyone here is if there would be a special notice to us of bid meetings and what the projects are that are being bid at that session.
Okay, we can certainly take a look at that process. Each department basically schedules their own bids and after the publications that are required. And then finance does open the bids that have been submitted.
So
we can certainly discuss getting notification out to you all as well.
I think people that are interested on the council that want to go to the bid openings, it's important for us to know. And as Pat Jones said earlier, we were at this League of Cities meeting, and it's just to assure the public there's no favoritism that's going on. That somehow some companies aren't getting more city business, even without being the lowest bidder. And we just want to make sure that's part of the process, that we could see that if we want to.
Currently, our bid openings are open to the public if they'd like to come. They are also broadcast on our Facebook page and I believe on YouTube.
I think that's very
transparent. So it's available for people to view it either before or after.
I'm just asking, where do these meetings take place at?
Point of order?
Excuse me?
Is this relative to the Civic Center?
It really isn't. So we've just been called on point of order, and I'm going to allow that. So we'll get back to the Civic Center here, and I'll talk to Tracy about that later. Thank you, Lance, for bringing us back. So, but I think Pat and I have made our point. So, okay, back to 13. It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And the motion carries. That brings us to community development. Approve resolution number 2020-071, the resolution number 2020-072, resolutions to create a TID, and approve a project plan for the Homestead Street extension for property generally described as being located at Homestead Street east of Elkvale Road between Timmins Boulevard and Missoula Street. Approval moved by Pat Jones, second by Lance Lehman. And Jason Solomon's in the queue.
Madam Chair, I would love to hear from Patsy Horton about this project and the
Okay.
TID, if we could.
Sure. She is there.
So this is a joint application with the City of Rapid City and our developer, Homestead Street Project, LLC. What they're doing is we're creating a TIF district, a tax increment financing district, to construct a portion of Homestead Street that is currently unconstructed. You can see the boundary in yellow. It's just east of Elkvale. It extends over to Valley View Elementary and East Middle School. So in red, you can see the portion that is going to be constructed with these tax increment dollars. The purpose of the district is, again, to create, to construct 900 linear feet approximately of the this collector street between Timmins and Missoula. And it's also to eliminate the loop-de-loop route that, that the taxpayers and residents of this community have to go through to actually get from east to west. So this is our proposed TIF revenue generators. You can see the master plan. If you are looking at it, north is on the left-hand side of the screen. Elkvale is just off the bottom portion of the screen. Over to the top of the slide is both the middle school and the elementary school. So we've got all residential construction within this revenue-generating opportunity. We've got 25 single-family homes on Avenue A, ranging about $200,000. We expect those to be constructed between 20 and 2022. We've also got an apartment complex that's almost done. It's a 40-unit. It should be done by the end of the year. We have more single-family homes in the $250,000 range, generally constructed between 21 and 2024. Then we have a 12-plex apartment structure that should be done by the end of 2021. We have another one that's under construction, should be completed in 2021 as well. And then we have a 15-plex that's due for construction in 2022. And so to sum that up, we have 59 single-family homes, 40-unit apartment complex, 2 12-unit apartment complexes, and 1 15-unit apartment. So another thing I wanted to point out is our zoning that's out there. Currently, we're only identifying residential structures to generate taxes. However, within this district boundary, we have several undeveloped commercial and office commercial properties that we also anticipate to be constructed sometime or to be developed before this is paid off. If that does happen, the only thing that will do is pay this TIF off sooner rather than later. So again, I'm just going to go quickly through those revenue generators and where they are in conjunction with the zoning map. And so you see the light purple with the hatched area, that's the office commercial zoning property, and the red hatched area on the lower end of the screen is our general commercial development area. So one of the things that you also want to know is the proposed project costs. We have some non-TIF funded, those are generally for private utility services. Then we have our TIF funded costs, that's for our street, water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer within that 900-foot section of Homestead Street. We, of course, have to have professional fees, some contingencies just in case. Our financing generally associated with the construction of Homestead, and then our administrative fee. So that's about a $2.7 million TIF. We also look at the impact to our taxing agencies. We just received our notice, our preliminary notice of the designation from the state. It will be considered an economic development TIF, which is a big deal for our residents within the school district, because then that $1.7 million that you see under the second school column, that will be paid by property tax payers throughout the whole state, not just within our district, our school district. But just to make sure everybody understands, the school district will still receive those funds. It just comes from a statewide school formula instead of within the localized school district. We anticipate this district to be paid off by mid-2033. The county is foregoing $720,000 through the life of this TIF. The city is $480,000. The water district is $3,600. Rapid Valley has $47,000, for a total of about $2.9 million that generally will be created with this district. And here's the amortization schedule real quick. It shows $1.6 million, just a little over $1 million for interest. We do anticipate again by June 2033 that should be paid off. And then again, our revenue generators. But the TIF committee recommended approval, and so did Planning Commission. So we are here to request your approval of this as well.
I don't mean to split hairs here, but it's listed as a TID here. Is it a TID or a TIF?
It's tax increment financing. When the district is created, then it's the tax increment district that actually captures the revenue. It's generally the same thing.
Okay, thank you. Jason?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Patsy, for the economic development TIFs, they still have to pass the but-for test?
No, there's, in 2018, the state law changed. There is some regulation where it's generally either blighted or it creates economic benefit for not only the district but statewide, and this will create that economic benefit.
Yeah, and this no doubt does. Obviously, we know that we need housing, and for us to get this many units, well over 100 if you add the multiple apartment complex or apartments as well as the single-family units, and I think in my opinion, we should do all we can to encourage housing development in Rapid City with just the growth that we have naturally, in addition to obviously the B21 expansion to Ellsworth. So I will support this, and grateful for those willing to take the risk to make this happen. I yield.
I think we got a motion from Jason and a second from Lehman on this one, did we? Okay, excuse me. We have a motion from Jones and a second by Lehman. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? And the motion carries. Move to adjourn? Move to adjourn. Okay, we are adjourned.